It's 5 o'clock. We'll call this regular city council meeting Wednesday, August 20th to order. Please rise for the pledge of
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mr. Garrett, please offer us the prayer.
Absolutely. That's right. Heavenly Father, God, thank you for this time, for the opportunity to meet together, to come together as city council. God, just pray that the things that are spoken today and the things that are discussed today would be in your will. God, that time will be taken, appropriate time, that there be opportunity for people to be heard and loved and cared for the way that they should be and the way that you would want us to. God, we love you and thank you for Port Aransas and for the place that we all get to live and just the beautiful scenery that you provide each and every day. God, you are an amazing Lord, amazing God. And we love you. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Move on. Thank you. To item number 3, which is citizen comments and reports. And we're going to start with Colleen Simpson and a recognition.
Our representatives from our surf rescue team to come up front.
Champion surf rescue team.
So I wanted, if you hadn't heard, I'm gonna let Joey introduce the team after this, but I want to give you a little summary of what has been going on this summer. Our surf rescue here in Port A hosted 72 competitors in the Gulf Coast region surf rescue USLA competition. And so teams from Cameron County, Corpus Christi, South Padre Island, and Galveston all participated. And Port A took first place, which is a accomplishment that I'm so proud of. Not only did they, host regionals and come out as the champions, but they had a massive team of staff this year. Our recruitment and retention is better than ever, and the leadership here behind me is to thank for that. In addition to regionals, where our whole team gets to participate, they sent 9 of the toughest competitors to Huntington Beach, California for the national competition where there's over 1,000 competitors. And this is the second year we sent a team to nationals. They achieved 3rd place in the small agency division because there's beaches with hundreds of guards and beaches with just dozens like us. So our athletes excelled in high intensity sprint events such as beach flags and the 2K run, demonstrated life-saving proficiency in multiple rescue events, and showcased technical skill in disciplines including surf ski, which if you don't know what that is, a really tiny little kayak, and the Ironman. And 3-day national competition was an outstanding opportunity for growth, professional development, and team building. They got to meet guards from all over the nation and see what they were doing and learn from them. And then Surf Rescue remains committed to continuous improvement and representing Port Aransas at the highest level. So I'm very proud to present these guys to you, and Joey is our Surf Rescue manager and share more.
This is Cody Becker. She's a beach lifeguard. This is Ford Layla. He's a head lifeguard. This is Kaylee Mo. She's one of the newest head lifeguards. This is Logan Schlemmy, new beach lifeguard, and Cameron Ainsworth. I just want to say thank you, all you guys. It was an amazing opportunity to do all this stuff. We're very thankful.
We're very proud of you all. Yes, no, absolutely very proud, and you'll do an amazing job. And it's probably a thankless job some days because I know put in a lot of hard hours and long days and in that hot sun, but you do great work. So thank you very much for what you do for our community.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Colleen, very much. All right. So next is Brenda Porter. Do you have a trophy, Brenda? Come on, lady. Oh, well, I mean, that's fine. I just, no particular order. Who do you want me to go with? Sherry? Shay? Who's one? Sherry. All right, Sherry, you may come up. How about that? I do not mind.
your attention. My name is Sherry Parrish, and I have lived at 820 Sea Breeze. As a resident for almost 7 years now, full-time, I have a soft spot for lost, dumped, orphaned, and abused animals. Through no fault of their own, these animals end up on our public streets. These very special animals need a home and someone who loves them and will properly care for them until they find a forever home. I have been told that it is easy to find homes for the small dogs in Port Aransas, but not the larger ones. Again, these dogs had no choice as to what their size was going to be. I have personally adopted a cat and a large dog from the shelter. The current shelter is small and in a dilapidated condition. The city's investment in the shelter would be more justly spent on a new facility, which is severely needed. You have concerned citizens, including myself, that have donated food, toys, treats, etc. to the shelter. I'm so happy that Port Aransas concerned citizens started Salty Paws so that donations can now be tax deducted. You have concerned citizens that have invested their unpaid time and their expertise in the shelter to provide a better outdoor watering system, sales that had been donated for shade. We are lucky to have a city council that is concerned about these forgotten animals. The shelter's social media is absolutely state of the art. Wonderful stories are put on social media advertising animals lost, available for adoption, all updates and events. When an injured animal needs a surgery, the appeal for funds is posted and you can now donate your help through Salty Paws. We need a new facility. Fixing up the existing building is a waste of taxpayer money, in my opinion. I want to thank the current city council for caring for these forgotten animals and to thank the city for inclusion of budgeted money for a new facility. These animals most certainly deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Brenda, are you ready?
Now you know why she got to go first. I'm Brenda Porter, and
Yes, ma'am.
I live at 328 Sand Hill Circle. I'm one of the volunteers and also the treasurer of Salty Paws, so I can take it on. We are also grateful that the city is considering putting a new shelter in, and they've included that in the current proposed budget. And what she said.
Thank you. Okay, Kay Culpepper.
I actually have Kay Culpepper, 528 Lighthouse Channel, and I really have very little to add as far as the information on the animal shelter, but I have seen it. It's in terrible shape, and I'm in agreement with them that we need a new one, and I want to thank the city council for putting it on the proposed budget.
Thank you. Right, last but not least is Mr. Mazak.
Thank you, Council. Daniel Mazak, 104 Bentgrass. I just wanted to speak briefly on the beach access road now that it's under construction. I understand that the city is reaching out to TxDOT to try to initiate the process of getting a signal traffic light at that location. I just wanted to try to urge council to not settle for just a flashing yellow and instead work with the TxDOT to ensure that a full signal light goes in. I mean, I expect that to operate differently seasonally, and in most cases of the year, I think it'll probably be, green or flashing or something. But to have that in place, I think is a huge safety issue anytime that there's season and a lot of people are going to be exiting from that intersection. The names of 4 people here on this list, most recently, Haley Johnson, Adir Ramirez, and Deborah Cates are all names of people who have lost their lives in the last few years there. I know right next to Cinnamon Shore North, basically where the beach access road is going to be, right there at Bentgrass. Back on June 16th of 22, early hours, I think, of the morning, we had staff out there working, and one of our team members, Justin, spent the final moments of time with someone there that had lost their life in an accident. And that's basically at that intersection. So I just urge that, that be taken seriously and that we go pedal to the metal on getting that done with TxDOT. I know that they're not the fastest agency to work with, but it's a big safety concern. So we ask your attention on that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If there are no more citizen comments, so we'll move on to item 4, which is the consent agenda. Inside the consent agenda are city council meeting minutes from July 1st and July 17th, and an ordinance, the second reading from chapter 16, planning and development, coastal management plan administration, each user fee edits. And I'm sorry, item 3C, which is another ordinance, chapter, second reading, amending chapter 27, public beach traffic division, vehicle virtual, each permits amending beach user fees in that one as well. So those are the items. Do I have a motion to approve? Or does someone want to pull something from the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Jeminis?
Yes.
Councilmember Owen?
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger?
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers?
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen?
Yes.
Jefferson Crawford?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. So we'll move on now to item 5, which is D, a resolution. First item, approving contingent fee contract with the law firm of Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott LLP for the collection of delinquent municipal fines, fees, court costs, parking offenses, and other debts, setting terms, conditions, and fees, effective date, and authorizing city manager to sign all documents associated with said contract agreement.
So we brought this to council. I mentioned it, I think briefly when we were having our budget meetings. The firm of Purdue, Brandon, Builder, Collins, and Mott does collections for over 225 cities in Texas, if you throw the counties and there are over 475. So we have 2 representatives here with the firm, Dan and Ben. We'd be happy to answer any questions if you would like. But this contract, we would not be paying anything. The defendant pays the required fee to the law firm to have the ticket cleared. They have we do proactive collections with our court, whereas we send out letters as soon as they get the ticket. It's called a courtesy letter that reminds you, hey, we know you got a ticket, pay, etc. But when they get something from a law firm, if they haven't paid, and sometimes they ante up and really increase collections. And this is just on delinquent fines. Our new fines, our court would actively be working, our court clerks.
Is this the first time we've used a law firm for collections?
Since I've been here, I don't think they ever used it. We use something called Omni, which is through the state. We turn into Omni our old fines, and that turns them in with the state DPS office when they go to get their license renewed. They have a freeze, and they can tell them these are the agencies you have tickets with, and then we get calls from them. They say, hey, I need to pay because I need to get my license. But sometimes the younger you are, the longer you have to go. You can have 7 years or more before you have to get a license.
But this is only on the delinquent, not
only
the
on the
initial. So it's very
Correct.
similar practice that what happens if you are delinquent on your property taxes
Correct.
and anything else, right?
And this firm actually does some delinquent property tax collection too, but since we're with the county, I believe we still use farm farmer.
Right. Sure. Understand. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
We would be bringing back to you, this would require an ordinance change to put the 30% increase in the ordinance, and that will require 3 readings. But to get the program kicked off is going to take a while anyway. And the second reading you just did on beach user fees, that was found by this firm because they went through and already looked at everything and they saw the conflict of it being stated that it's $50 and then your judge was charging more than that. So we took that language out and gave that power back to the court judge to set the fine.
There's a sunset on it for your term or something.
I think this initial one is a 3-year term.
We're signing off on that.
No, it's not signed off. The 3-year term that was initially set.
It's a 3-year, and one thing I would say, Ben Trotter from Purdue Brandon, attorney.
Especially if you came all this way from
Yeah.
wherever you're from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is a 3-year term, and what I can tell you is the one thing that we always tell all of our clients, and we tell every prospective client, that the Supreme Court of the state of Texas has made it well known that you can fire us or hire us at any point you want. Every person, every entity is allowed to pick their counsel. whenever they want. So it is a 3-year term, and you still have to obey the wrap-up periods, et cetera, that are in the contract. But you're allowed to hire your own attorney, just like you would if you were in a criminal, a civil, a family matter of your own as an individual. So it's a contract term, but you have the ability to get to adjust, so long as you follow the wrap-up period, so we can, continue our work. But
And the 30% doesn't come off what we collect, and you add the 30% to the collection.
the 30% is added, and I can tell you that is non-negotiable. That is a statutory rate set by the Texas legislature. So when it comes to your property taxes, it can be anywhere between 15 and 20. You can negotiate that back and forth. But when it comes to this, it's 30 flat. There's no,
You're not offending me.
no, I'm just saying whether it's us or any other firm that comes in here or any other company that wants to try to collect, that's what the legislature said. And so,
I was more just asking on the side of our collection, so on the ones you do get.
correct. 100% will go to the city. The additional 30 will then be collected by us.
Paid by the person who receives it.
Correct.
Are you one of the principals?
I'm not.
It's got to be, are you, sir?
No, I'm not.
You're just the lucky guys who got to come to Port A.
No,
Talk
yeah.
about it.
I'm actually the account representative, so I'll be the one
Okay.
working with the court and the city staff regarding our collection program. And Ben's the attorney in charge, so if you want to yell at somebody, yell at them.
Got it.
And he was previous law enforcement, so it's more on the.
Yeah, and then the beauty, like we said, the statute, basically, essentially, the collection services are free to the city. So the city doesn't bear any cost. We bear all the costs with all the mailings, the skip traces and the phone calls and all that, trying to get the defendants to come back and pay those fines.
What's your collection rate?
Well,
Success?
it depends on the portfolio, but looking at anywhere, cash collecting anywhere from 25 to 40% on cash. But then for every $1 that you collect, there's also, you collect what's called non-cash, because you got indigency, you have community service, jail credit, some of those things. The courts have to afford debts of that nature, but overall, it's anywhere from, 40 to 50% overall, just, resolution of all the cases that are outstanding, with the court, so.
Probably better than what we're doing right now.
It
It is.
Yeah.
They have more resources to track down people than we.
Well, we're just an extension of the court. We're just like another court clerk being able to work it and skip tracing. That's the big part. I mean, we represent South Padre Island, so we're very familiar with other tourist destinations and dealing with. And most of the portfolio people do not live within the community of South Padre Island. So everybody outside of that. And so we're well aware of how.
For Dan's portfolio in the San Antonio office, it's South Padre. We also have Fredericksburg, Bandera, these sort of destinations, sort of tourist towns. So he's well equipped to figure out how to run those accounts.
And our website would be.
Yeah, we direct all the money to the city. We're not touching the money, so we keep everything going directly to the city coffers of the way they normally handle business. In the courts.
Prior to engaging, I guess, we have about public citizen delinquent funds. Is there anything you guys have seen so far coming into this that you feel like we're going to get, or?
Well, once we're able to, once we get all the data from the court, we're able to analyze the data. I know just initially looking back, I think you'll have cases back in the 1990s, so you have stuff that's current. So just kind of analyzing it and looking at the debt and seeing how much is outstanding. But I know talking with Darla, talking with the court, that number is pretty big. So there's definitely some money to go after. So
moving forward, if something's put in place, you guys helping us with the collection process moving forward, that'll obviously expedite it.
And parking is a unique, whether we will or use, but that's something that we have to work through because those are really hard to find. And we do have a lot on the books that is parking.
And we'll be honest with you, moving forward, there's a lot of parking, and this is a new endeavor for us when it comes to the parking. So we've done a lot of research to try to figure out I'm on our compliance committee with the firm that tries to make sure we're following all the laws, making sure that we're collecting properly. We never want to be a burdensome debt collector. I mean, that's not our goal, but at the same time, we want to make sure everybody gets paid. But parking is going to be a learning experience. It's a kind of a new endeavor. I think for all firms. I don't think this is anything that's really been tackled before. So we're going to have a learning experience there, but we're happy to come on board, and it's a big portfolio.
How far back can you go as far as how many years back can you go?
I mean, you go all the way back, as old as it, yeah,
Okay.
once the affidavit has been executed, you can go back. And I always like to I call it a cleansing process. Let us try to collect, see what we can collect, even on some of those old debts. And that way we can analyze it, and then we can come back to the court and say, hey, look, we try to collect on these defendants, and now, to make a decision. Sometimes you gotta, purge those accounts from the books, but you don't want to keep holding on to all those old debts year in and year out.
Okay, anybody have any other questions? All right, thank you guys for sharing. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the contract between the City of Port Aransas and the William Brandon, Silver Collins, and Mont LLP for professional legal services regarding the collection of delinquent municipal fines, fees, court costs, fines, offenses, and other debts to be paid in accordance with the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure.
Second. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, Brandon, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crawford,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you very much.
Business cards here if anybody has any questions. Great job. They're right here.
Look at them clapping in the back.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, yay, I love that.
Yes.
All right, item E, ordinance, third and final reading approving Plan 2514 major amendment to Cinnamon Shore Plan Unit Development, accepting the Planning and Zoning Commission's final report on Plan 2514, providing for the validity of said ordinance, repealing all prior ordinances in conflict herewithin, and providing for severance, reading, and effective dates.
So the packet inclusion for this PUD was the previous version that still includes the mobile vending. Daniel and I spoke. I believe that he talked to several of you. I'm going to kind of turn it over to him. He's got a handout that is going to go over some additional restrictions that he could suggest to be put in there. I think that the plan for them was to kind of run everything in this way anyway, but I'll let you speak to that.
Right, please come up, Mr. Mason.
Thank you, everyone on council. As Nicole mentioned, spoke with members of council and produced this handout to kind of address the most common concerns that were brought up regarding the subject of mobile vending or food trucks within the PUD. And so I kind of came up with these additional provisions that could be included if you chose to go the route of putting a motion forward that required these. We would then ask probably that motion be written such that staff and us get to put this into the document, but it was included as a separate handout for easy kind of review. And then any of these that we don't feel are necessary could be struck. If we don't feel any of them are necessary, you could make a motion to put forward the document that you made a motion on last time. The kind of highest importance of these, I think, is probably on the quantity. I think is kind of a concern is there any limit on the number of trucks that you could bring in? So I kind of thought through that for a while, and I thought, well, PUDs have to be a certain acreage minimum to be considered to do a PUD document. So why don't we use acreage as kind of the calculation method for how many food trucks could work? We've got a sizable amount of acres, so I suggested 1 per 10 because it's a pretty high mark, and I feel like that helps the city in the future. If you ever felt you needed something like that kind of on the books as a go by, you could go, well, 1 per 10 acres, that's a pretty high mark to meet. So it kind of limits, future mobile vending if you ever wanted to go that route. The other is a limit on the number of days. That was brought up by Chad, hopefully not as a way to, circumvent building a real facility or building something windstorm compliant. So keeping it roadworthy, keeping it, ready to be removed from a site. and limiting that it can only be in a location for up to 100 days, which if we're not doing we would do for a more permanent use scenario, like a true kind of food truck port or something, put in the utilities, grease trap and stuff for them to not have to leave so frequently. But most operators would need to leave like after 2 days or so because their tanks are full or they're going to need to empty those. And without a grease trap or an agreement in place with the water district to purchase their water and dispose of their grease here, they're having to do that elsewhere in Corpus. The water district has indicated that if we, figure out a plan and how many they're going to be, how frequently, that they would be open to providing water, allowing one of our existing grease traps to meet that need for dumping, but that it is kind of a foul smelling endeavor. So we're not necessarily sour about them heading to Corpus to get rid of that stuff at the moment. Also with this, put a stipulation for bathrooms. State mandate, I think, is 500 feet for a staff bathroom. There's no requirement for a patron restroom. You don't have to have one for guests or to sell the food, but you have to have one for the person operating it to be able to use. So I put 300 feet as an offering in there. I think that we can meet that mark. 500 is the state requirement. So if we don't want to, don't feel that's necessary, you can fall back on that state requirement. We can just strike that one from the list since there is a provision in place there. And then the last one, kind of that if city or state law changes to where all of this kind of becomes moot, then we ask that, we fall back on those rules and that we not be held to some, additional standard that we wrote in place today, if that doesn't become relevant. And then this last one is just really something that we're able to personally pursue or enforce, but kind of to the greatest ability that we can. We're going to look to ensure that these food trucks are all, maintaining all compliance, necessary health inspections, food handlers, certifications, certificates of insurance, how they're disposing of their waste, and then that they're also obtaining and paying all necessary sales tax and compliance for remittance in that front. So anyone that we're signing up, we're going to look at that on the front end and try to, ensure that they continue to do that. But we're not looking to replace the IRS or the health department. So but I hope that helps, address any concerns that anyone on the council may have had over food trucks or mobile vending. This is really, I think, more written about food trucks than it was mobile vending, someone selling bracelets or something like that. I think that's a little bit easier of an operation. But I think any of these provisions could serve, both pretty well.
How would we place this? Like a better term. If this gets added, the added rules here needs to fall on to actually make sure that the food truck moves in 101 days or 99 days.
Code enforcement, I would think. I mean, that's who does it anyway, right?
And that would just be on north?
It would just be on Cinnamon Shore North PUD. So our code enforcement officers would have to maintain that difference in all PUDs.
Mike, one of the concerns I have about, and I have a question to you, Daniel, on the concurrent mobile vendors shall be limited to one for every 10 acres. I respect that and that you're willing to do that, but would you foresee a need or a want to have maybe a mobile food vendor and then a mobile retail vendor? And this would limit you or inhibit you to do that.
Correct.
If you agreed to that, or we put that provision in there, so.
Right, and for non-event scenarios, I think that the number that, if we have 70 acres approximately at Cinnamon Shore North with this additional land north of the beach access road that's joining the PUD, I think 7 is a reasonable number there, but for an event, I think that's too small of a number and doesn't achieve like what we'd be looking for. We do frequently hold events. We've got one called Beach Booze and Barbecue that has little vendors and stuff set up, a nutcracker market that's like around, winter time and has sales of all kinds of fun stuff. There's a food component to that as well. Those we're looking for, dozens, or in the future, probably several dozen, concurrent operations going on there. So that number is too small for an event. But for like a regular non-event weekday or weekend during the summertime, I think that number could work. It is, probably preferable that we be able to have that number each or something so that we could have it for vendors. Or maybe that's just the limit for food trucks, and the vendors is kind of doesn't have a cap. That might be preferable. But again, trying to find a way to keep it simple for staff, if you feel these are necessary provisions to add. It does get kind of complicated the more we probably divide it out.
When you have one of the Nutcracker event, you have to get a city or a special event permit for.
So I looked into that some. I mean, it is occurring on private property. It's not on city land. So I don't believe that to be the case from everything I could tell. So I thought about adding a way that, hey, we register these with the city, or we have the food truck vendor obtain a permit from you guys. It's more of a formality, like, or count, so that you get the chance to kind of audit those numbers. But if there's not a process by which you get permits for private, operations out there, that.
Yeah, because other retail businesses have vendors within their businesses as like, and it happens a lot, if you're in like a boutique, you'll have another vendor come in and set up a pop-up shop. I mean, that's a perfect example, right? They do that for 3 or 4 days inside a business, and so that's not regulated by the city.
No. It would only if there was like maybe a parking impact to where, it was an additional use to like a restaurant or something like that, to where their parking was busted or something like that.
We have, like when we have fishing tournaments and they're going to display some of their parking, Pachanga is a good example of that. They come to us and say, hey, we're going to have this event on our property. We're using this property for parking for the weekend. We sign off on it. It's not really a special events permit because it is private property, but we're notified and we give approval.
Dan, can these food trucks then go on the beach? Or
Not-
is it written that no, they won't?
Well, so we're not looking to put that into the city's position now is that is not possible, and we respect that.
And it's written that.
We wrote a section in one of the previous versions that specifically says no commercial activity on the beach.
So for an event or something like that, not as a for sale, or if it, because it would require a special event permit, it would be the same as
anybody else.
Yeah, anybody else on the beach side of things. And then we had talked previously or the staff's interpretation, things that were like event catering or things like that didn't fall within, this is kind of for the non-event scenarios, knowing that we can't have an event every weekend to get around the rule.
And this is mainly for your summers and your busy weekends because those slow times of the year.
Yeah, January, you don't.
Right, yeah, for that and these again would be events, but trying to do, kind of heads and beds stuff in the shoulder season. Yeah, I've shared some numbers with some of the council members I met with that like the first year we did the beach booze and barbecues, I think our occupancy that October weekend was like 16 or 26% or something. And the following year, we were up to like 46%. So we had an increase in people wanting to come back, for people that hadn't made it, that heard about it and wanted to come stay. So we had more, owners and guests on property during that period. So boosting occupancy and, dollars.
Well, we're at the third reading. So at this point, we have 2 options as a council. We have a motion to approve as stated, as presented, or if the motion is to add any of these provisions, then that's what needs to be included so that we can move forward with third reading. So,
Daniel, I want to thank you for your time. I mean, you spent a lot of time with a lot of us talking about this. And appreciate all your effort. And of course, we'd like to see all 6 of these provisions added.
is that a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve
Sir?
with these 6 provisions that added to the PUD.
I'll second.
Okay, do you all have any other questions or discussion regarding the motion? Okay, there are none. Fran, please call the roll.
Councilor Smitis,
Yes.
Councilor Owen,
Yes.
Councilor Christensen,
Yes.
Councilor Chambers,
Yes.
Councilor Fruiter,
Yes.
Peterson Crawford,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Appreciate it.
You know you worked hard.
Staff
All
as
right.
well, thank you.
We're on to item F, second reading amending chapter 19 signs and providing for severance, reading and effective date.
All right, so the version that you have in your packet has yellow highlights of all of the changes that were made as requested from the last meeting to this meeting. There's not many, so I'm just gonna quickly go through those. And then there's probably one item that we still need to discuss. So the first yellow highlight is we added a definition for principal merchandise in relation to the exception from the flags, the flag exception, to really define what principal merchandise meant. So if that was more than 50% of the items that they sold at that store, then it counted as principal merchandise and they would be allowed to have that exception.
We're calling them wind signs, or if you sell 51% of your product is wind signs, then you can have a wind sign.
Then you can display those outside. And then we'll get back into that later on where it limits it in ways that you can do so. And then the next, it's page 8 of the packet in front of me. I don't know if you guys have the same page numbers. Temporary signs on commercial lot. And if we could actually skip that for a minute and come back to it, because that's going to be our items that we're going to need to discuss. The next page goes back to that slide exception. We added onto item number 2, C2. We added the words, you guys requested, it may not extend, project, or otherwise protrude into the airspace of any adjoining tenant space, public right of way, or adjacent property. And we put on there that displays are limited to a maximum of 25 display items, which seems like a lot, but Francisco's going to show you a picture of Clyde up on the screen real quick. So I took this picture. I went in that same day and talked to her. She said that this is the most that they ever have up. They have permanent attachments where they put each one of those up. They would never have more than that, and that's 45 items. So I felt that was a fair to keep what they had and to not allow any more than that. Most of them are on her porch and railing, which I think is appropriate. And then she just has those few that come out this way. Okay, so we go back to commercial A-frame signs. This is the topic of conversation last time. Previously, number B1 said 1 A-frame sign is allowed per commercial lot. We have switched that after discussions to 1 is allowed for commercial tenants. But we also added, on the next page, you'll see we added that there needed to be some kind of separation. We looked at a bunch of different locations and felt that about 40 feet was appropriate. A lot of places have a 50-foot frontage. This would allow them to have 2 A-frame signs if they had 2 businesses there. And then, of course, if they had 100, they would be able to have 3 and do it from there. And then I didn't realize until today that the version that you guys have in your packet does not include 1 additional item. Went and talked to Tanya and everybody in her strip center and some people in the Miss Hayes Strip Center. And they don't really use apron signs out on the highway frontage. I think it's not really appropriate. You can't read those at the speed you're going by, but they use them up close to the building. So I talked to everybody that used them and said, you know, if we put in a prohibition on having those apron signs out on the highway, but we allowed you to have them within 10 feet of the front of your building, that felt more appropriate. So I wrote in geographic limitation number 8. Apron signs are prohibited on properties fronting Highway 361 south of Avenue G, except where the sign is placed within 10 feet of the front plane of the associated building. So
Oh, that's not in
it's
here.
not written in the
Okay.
it's
Okay.
written in the version that I've got.
We were all trying to force it.
So they're not within 40 feet. Some of those fronts of those buildings,
I don't think, I
I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
if their doors are here and they want to put them by the doors.
we could probably exempt that 40 feet
Okay.
from, I'll include that. If you want, I'll include that in the number 8 exemption, that they wouldn't have to be more than 40 feet apart. Because in that situation, I can agree, they would be closer than that.
Yes.
And you talked to Coffee Waves about just moving theirs over so they would be considered.
Yeah,
like
so
Avenue
Coffee
J.
Waves is the only one that had it out, and it really is more on Avenue J than it is on the highway. I would probably ask them to move it about 2 feet over, which shouldn't affect them at all, and that way we could say that they really have it on Avenue J, which is, I
Most
think,
of their
what they're
customers
trying to,
come down Avenue J.
I think that's what they're trying to accomplish
Yeah.
with that difference.
They're renaming J the Coffee Days line.
I know, that's what she said.
Then, number F, the highlighted and scratched out version is how it was written in the previous ordinance. I think that somehow it got messed up when it was written and then filed, because that wording didn't really make a lot of sense. So I tried to write that again in a way that met that wording, but a little clearer. We'll move on to signs on fences. I was under the impression that there's going to be a very long portion of our conversation tonight, frankly, because Billy Gaston has his entire street frontage full of signs. And he actually, it was the most perfect timing. He came in asking what he needed to do to put a sign up. So we had a long conversation. His plan is to take down all of his fencing and to just put a sign up that will comply with this ordinance. So I think without having to have discussions of is he grandfathered, what counts as a sign there, what doesn't, he is perfectly fine with us just passing the ordinance the way that it's written. He's removing that sign and he'll be in compliance. And then I think moving forward, anybody that wants a sign on the fence will be fine with using the rules that we've already approved.
Okay.
It was the best timing ever.
We made it easy for you.
Yeah. And then the very last page, the last version had number 3. It said, in the event that the use was changed, the ownership, blah, blah, blah. And they had to change that rule. And we discussed that we didn't necessarily want to change your ownership to require them to make a sign come into compliance, but you guys wanted to track what signs were in compliance and what signs weren't, to notify the owners and to make sure that they all were aware that their sign is legal non-conforming, and that if they ever change it, they have to do it. So we added the highlighted portion into number 3, and then G, we added a registry of legal non-conforming signs, which we had already planned to do in our department. We just codified it. So now we go back to temporary signs on commercial lots. And
What page is that?
on mine, it's 8 of 19.
Okay, thanks.
And this guy is going to show you this lovely picture of Castaway. And Castaway has 14 units inside of their strip center. And this is an example if 8 of those units had a qualifying event that allowed them to put up a temporary sign. So you can see the 14 A-frame signs that were out in the front.
Which are not gonna be allowed anymore. because
Well,
we
they're not
changed
there. That's Photoshopped.
That's Photoshopped. I'm saying, but
They wouldn't be allowed because they would have to have that 40 feet.
right now,
Right.
we've taken that away.
Yep, and that's, I wanted to use this sign to promote that portion that I added.
I was like, I've never seen that.
I think they have maybe
They have
3.
they have a
Yeah.
few, but-
Right. And so this is, originally I had written in the temporary signage as 1 temporary sign allowed for a qualifying event of 16 square feet. And and zoning and the sign committee thought that that was too low of a number, so they increased it to 32 square feet, and then wanted to split that over 5 different signs. You guys reduced that to 3 at the last meeting, but this is what you could end up with in a situation like that. So a qualifying event is property is actively listed for sale or lease, new construction, or any kind of construction going on under a city building permit, or a new tenant. And so by splitting up that 32 square feet over 3 signs, you're allowing a for sale, listing to have 3 signs that add up to 32 square feet. And so I made some that were small that added up to 32 square feet, and then some that were larger that were just a full 32 square feet. So I don't think that anybody would ever do this. I don't think Jay would let them do this, but I think of other people that use feather flag signs right now as an attraction that might be in a situation where they would allow multiple signs. So I thought maybe that needed some discussion and what we wanted to see moving forward.
So the big sign there, the original one.
So their original sign is allowed to be the size that it is based on a multi-tenant use and the square footage for each one. Currently, if this was a brand new location, they're allowed to have 100 square feet for that location on their permanent sign. These are temporary signs allowed by qualifying events. So the signs that we allow for people listing property for sale, businesses showing that they're doing work on the property, new tenant coming in. In our current ordinance, we allow different sizes for each one of those. And in this one, we're condensing that to be. Well, that's a permanent sign.
Yeah.
So again, this is just the temporary sign.
Yeah. For the temporary. I think that needs to be limited to right outside the actual tenant's location, if that's what's happening, and not in the right of way of a commercial property.
10 feet within.
And so we did
Unfortunately, they
something,
have behind, you can't see all of their places when you drive by, or even in the parking
right, and
lot.
again, it's hard to don't think about just Huxley, think about all the different commercial locations that we have.
Are all the tenants listed on the marquee sign? I mean, normally, if you're a renter, you get a place on the marquee sign. It comes with your thing. So are all of them on there so they at least have an address associated with their name and can be found?
I can't imagine wanting to pay rent there and not being on a sign. I can't tell you for sure that they are not on there, but there's the ability and space for them to be on. But really, Jay, whoever owns those shopping centers gets to decide what's on their sign.
I mean, this is strictly for the temporary signs qualifying events. So my thought is if that owner of that property, regardless of who it is, has 4 tenants out of his or her 8 shops, and they're all for lease, I don't think that we should allow them to have 4 for lease signs. So we need to rewrite that so that that doesn't happen.
My suggestion would be only 1 sign allowed per qualifying event, regardless of how many
tenants.
Regardless of how many tenants are for lease there, you get 1 sign for that for a lease. I think 32 square feet is rather large.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, chances are they're gonna pull that number and then they're gonna find out that we've got multiple for,
Sheet of plywood.
It's big.
Yeah.
A third of their sign of their permanent sign. It's
So yeah,
large.
that needs to be.
Yeah, there's about 8 signs on it, or 8 businesses on it, it looks like, from Street View.
Aren't we at 24 square feet right now?
Fran, can you
So
flick it over to me real quick, or switch it over?
there's different sign allowances for different types. So new businesses or coming soon businesses can have 25 square feet. For real estate signs right now can have 16 square feet. New construction signs can have 32 square feet. And so because we can't differentiate between each of those, because we can't differentiate between a for sale sign or, a construction sign, we wanted to go with 1 standard sign for the temporary event. It was my opinion and suggestion that we go with the smallest of those sizes. They wanted to go with the largest of those.
Wow. Question. What would tip that square footage down to? Total aggregate. square footage.
I think that my suggestion is, suggest a limit on the number of signs per qualifying event per lot. And then a square footage reduction or an overall square footage of all temporary signs. You know, if you had more than one qualifying event, maybe you're just limited to. I'm open to suggestions. My original suggestion was 16 square feet per qualifying event, one sign per qualifying event.
Fair enough, yeah.
What'd I do, Peggy?
Well, I mean, I think it's, I mean, what David wants to show is the permanent sign.
Right.
We're talking about temporary signs, so I think that's what we need to decide, and so.
And again, I think it's very rare that you'll have multiple qualifying events, but the possibility is there.
Then we need to put
So
that in
your
place.
suggestion was, say that again.
For each qualifying event, regardless of tenants, for each qualifying event, you get one permanent, or one temporary sign at 16 square feet. So if, in Castaway's example, if property was for sale, they could put up a sign for that. If tenants were for, or new tenants were coming in, we could put up a sign for that. But if they had 4 tenants coming in, they still only get one sign. And then if they were under construction, they get one sign for that.
Well, we could share it. I mean, chances are being 4 new, I mean, I know it could happen, but.
And we could put a distance between sign restrictions the same way that we did neighboring signs.
Get rid of them anyway.
I like the one per qualifying event,
Yes.
16 maximum square feet.
I
Per property.
Yeah.
I think if the 4 one, so 4 to like.
Right.
sign entrance, so
And they're
coverage.
small. Right. And setback.
Signs out.
From each
There
other.
it goes. You got it.
Well, I don't know I don't know that I would have a problem them being together, because effectively, they could just affix them to the bottom of their perimeter sign. And not even be on the street or anything like that, right? I mean, or put them right underneath. In that particular case, right? I mean, so if they were allowed the 3 for 3 separate qualifying events, and they were 16 square feet, and they all were right underneath the permanent sign, I think that would be fine. I don't think that they would all need to be separated. I think it'd be better if they were all together in one area. You know, thoughts on that? I mean, a lot of people.
How many,
are not gonna
how
have
many,
that
how many
restriction.
separate businesses are there?
I think they have 14.
Oh,
Is what we counted.
They could have put them right under like that on it.
There's a lot. I think there's 11 on the sign. But that's also an old picture.
Yeah.
I thought it was when they were suburban. And it really is an old suburban, it's just in good shape.
Okay, so what I heard was one sign for qualifying events and 16 square feet.
Change that.
And all the floppy banners.
And then on Highway 361, we've allowed a little bit of a higher allowance, so I'm just going to have that same one per qualifying event stipulation, but allow that 32 square feet there, where here we were trying to allow 30. For just being on the highway. Slider down. We do that with all of our commercial signage. In town, you're allowed smaller square footage than you are the different mile per hour zones.
How do we motion this one? Motion with Nicole suggested changes, or?
Well, you motion to go to the 3rd reading with the suggested changes.
And then we'll.
Any other changes or thoughts?
For all your hard work.
Yeah, great
It's
job.
been on this for months.
That was a lot of work.
It's gonna be great.
Ready to have it signed you? What'd you say?
I'm done with that.
I know.
Wake up in the middle of the night.
I'm sorry.
No, you get it that time.
Okay, do I have a motion?
A motion to go to third reading, amending chapter 19 signs, providing for seventh reading and effective date with the suggested changes brought forth by Nicole Boyer.
I'll second. All right, any further discussion? Brandon, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider,
Yes.
Councilmember Bluder,
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchinson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Chairperson Crawford,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, item G, resolution approving professional services agreement with Urban Engineering, DCCM, for engineering services for the Kepler project number 1776, Charlie's Pasture Bulkhead Scour Protection Project, setting term, conditions, fees, responsibilities, and services of owner and engineer, and authorizing city manager to sign said agreement.
Okay, so this is the engineering that'll match for design services. If you guys recall, we had the emergency blowout kind of in this area right up here about 2 years ago, right in this area, right in here. We then surveyed the entire bulkhead length and discovered that we had severe scour, probably in about 4 or 5 hotspots that were really bad. The city applied in 2023 for a Kepler project through the General Land Office to put rock revetment out at the base of the bulkhead, kind of just, step it down out about 20 feet for the entire 4,000 linear feet. Initially, the project did not get selected, but after about a year wait, it ended up getting back on the selected list and approved for funding. So it's about a $6 million project. It's great that Kepler's picking up the rock portion of the construction. The city's on the hook for, it's a 60-40 split, with the city providing a 40% match on the design. And then the General Land Office picks up the other 60% of the design fees. And then, so this is what you're approving today is the engineering design component of this project. So about, I would say, Stephen, as far as design timeline, probably 6 to 9 months. Then to the GLO, Corps of Engineers permitting. So it's not a quick project because it is Kepler, but we've got to start and yeah.
Okay. Let's get started sooner than later.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
questions?
Are there questions on this?
Yeah.
Are there other firms that specialize in this sort of engineering work?
Throughout the coastal bend, yes. Yeah.
So when we normally look at things like this, do we get multiple bids on it, or our go-to engineers?
I use them as the city engineer. That's not to say council can select another engineering firm. With their knowledge of what they've done, my recommendation would be to not use another engineering firm. I mean, they have a pretty good history of putting this project together. Yes.
Great question.
No, okay. That's it. I'm just, you just have to be the representative.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know if there's, from here to Florida, if there's 10 different companies that do this, or city engineer, that's why it's just always.
There's, as far as dealing with the ship channel in our area, you have Urban Engineering that's done a lot of the Charlie's Pasture work. Cameron Perry and what's their new name? What's their latest name? HDR.
Each year in their Sherman.
Well, no, they became, that's their old name, but they have done the rock revetment portion of this project, which goes from the end of the bulkhead into the concrete bulkhead south or southwest towards Piper Channel. That firm has done that one. They've designed that one 3 times. Because it's been.
So they're the ones who did the design work on the original project.
They did the rock design from 2009 or 2008. It was severely damaged in Hurricane Ike, and it was redesigned and rebuilt in 2012. And now it's being redesigned a 3rd time for Hurricane Harvey blowout damage. So they have a lot of rock revetment experience in the ship channel within our area. But as far as UT, I don't know if UT's used it. I don't know who the Corps used on their jetty project. It was a big firm.
So I guess unknown who did the original bulkhead design work.
The original bulkhead design work was from 2002 to 2005 or 6. We did 3 coastal management C&P projects, and each project we did about 1,300 linear feet, and that was designed by Urban. The biggest change it's what's happened over the years is that now, before everything was inbound laden tankers heading into the port. So you had a certain direction of wave energy for the first 15 years of the life of our bulkhead. It was all inbound wave energy. A lot of surfers would go out and surf it. Then you had the, when did Obama start the exportation? 2016, about, give or take. You had the ability for the U.S. to start exporting oil, and you had for the first time in the history of the bulkheads, you had outbound laden tankers going, out to the jetty. So you had a reverse in the wave energy, and you had much bigger vessels in the last 10 years. You had LNG, you had the big, you had over at Ingleside and Ingleside on the Bay, you had a lot of the tankers, a lot of the big large ones. What were they called? The VLCCs that could get about 60% full, and then they would lighter out. They would, lighter at the, outside the jetty system, but they also generated a large weight. So we started seeing, blowouts. And so when the wave energy started reversing and going in the other direction, that's where we really started seeing a lot of the scour. And
I don't like their rear coaching.
It's real bad. So, so right now the depth of the original panels, probably the panels needed another 8 feet on them instead of 16 and 18 footers. They probably needed to be 24, but it's kind of a moot point right now. So this Kepler project will armor that base and prevent that scour. But we're starting to see new scour in Roberts Point Park like we just experienced. So we're going to have issues up and down around. I know over here at the private marina, this thing's new. I mean, that fell into the drink. If you go back in time and look at that around 2085, see how long it is there. And over the years, that thing's that long. And then fast forward over time, see how it's fallen off. That's due to the depth increasing of the ship channel to where finally it completely collapsed. And it's been And it's been rebuilt. So, I mean, we're experiencing scour along the entire city limit coastline. And we just gotta keep going after these Kepler dollars and armor it and do what we can because the designs from the bulkhead design or the bulkhead designs from the late 90s don't work now. They weren't beefy enough, but they were good enough back then for that size ship, but not for these size ships and not with a reverse in the direction of wave action. It's just, the designs weren't.
Curious what other ports have done. So some of it should fall back on the port.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we need to, the mayor and I have been reaching out to the port for help. And I think we need to make a more concerted effort to, get the port back involved. They were heavily involved with the original, this was kind of a big, before the bulkhead, we were losing 17 feet of dirt a year in Charlie's Pasture. And that's kind of what prompted that Kepler funds. And it was a big partnership between the city, the port, Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries partnered in, and Coastal Management Plan, Kepler dollars, CF dollars, which I forget what the acronym on that was. They were all 3 GLO funds. But the port was a big partner in helping the city with funding on, that entire Charlie's Pasture shoreline. And they were doing their own stuff on the other side here. I don't know if you go over there, the big tubes, or not, the big sediment tubes that they had lined this whole Harbor Island side with that, since failed. So you have a lot of massive erosion on that side, but we do need to get the port back involved with a partnership in helping us with protecting the shoreline.
There's other things that could adjust that as well. Speed.
No, there's, I'm Houston Ship Channel's been dealing with the LCCs for far longer than we have, and I'm wondering who engineered their work.
Oh, no, they've gone,
They're going through the same thing.
They're going through the same thing. Whatever worked in the 90s doesn't work now. It wasn't big enough, wasn't beefy enough. It's all failed. It's all been rebuilt 3 or 4 times. It's everyone on industrial ship channels. I know for a fact I have a friend looking at property in Ingleside on the Bay, and this whole subdivision here is failing. All their bulkhead. I mean, it's the same everywhere. It is all the infrastructure from the 90s and early 2000s is failing. Wasn't beefy enough.
So as I go through this, I guess they'll coordinate with you to, hey, these are what changes we're making to try to improve the situation.
Who's that?
The engineer.
Oh, yes.
No, there's no perfect solution for long term. Best we can.
Build it.
Especially for the bigger rocket.
Build it beefy.
We needed it yesterday, so.
Yeah. The rock revetment in Charlie's Pasture has been through 3 different engineering size designs. The original one was about basketball size, and then that failed. And they're like, oh, we need to be bigger. And then it went to like that size, and then the 3rd iteration, it's like this size.
Be jetty size.
And that's in 15 years, or maybe 17 years. The engineering went from that to that to that. Yeah.
Construction around here.
Yeah.
Last 20 years. Okay, sorry.
No, that's good.
All good
I was going to see big price tags and something
I know,
that's
right?
failing.
Oh, yeah.
Getting retired by the same engineer that designed it the first time.
Get it done quickly. Okay, any other questions? All right, is there a motion?
To approve the resolution, to approve professional service agreement, road engineering, Charlie's Pasture, bulkhead, protection project.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krieger,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schmidt,
No.
Everson Crawford,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, item H, presentation of Broadus and Associates on Del Sol Consulting regarding Hurricane Harvey recovery progress and project updates. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, evening, everybody. I brought backup today. Start with the public service building. As we call it. As you can see, both towers are done, except they got to put a second coat of paint on the louvers of the west tower. That'll be done soon, probably next week. It's be totally done. It took a while. Chief might want to know next week, they're going to start striping the parking lot. So John or somebody will get with you about where they're going to be parking back there. Evidence lockers, some logistics things. The evidence lockers have been still on schedule to arrive here on the 25th, Monday. Jail doors were supposed to arrive this week. They have not arrived this week. The Canadian company says they will be shipped on Monday the 25th. Take a few days to get here. So if that's true, it shouldn't be a problem. The frames are already in. It's just a matter of hanging those 300-something pound doors and things. But as of now, they're shipping on Monday. The epoxy floors have done all last week. That's the only thing we were doing because you can't have everybody in there when they're doing the floors. Took all last week, and there's some very rough spots that they have to fix. And there's some corrective actions that the Victor building team is getting with their sub that did the floors to fix those floors, so they will be perfect. All looks good, but there's some rough spots that have to be fixed. Moving on to the gas building. Was it last week? Yeah, last week, the small employee parking lot, about 7 or 8 spots poured, and there's no problem with the concrete. And the inside walls, they've been primed up for a while, and they're starting to put the colors on the inside walls. The ceiling grid is done inside. The big thing for the gas building next week is we'll be pouring the sidewalk along Avenue A from the concrete there. So while that's going on, that's going to make this road even more fun for a little while. The gas building is going fine. It's relatively simple build. The fire station. We talked about the fire station last time. The second floor beam corrective action has been designed and approved by Janak structural engineer. And city manager approved the design and his recommendations. It will fix there's 2 issues. The strength is fine. The serviceability was not. And this will fix the serviceability numbers issue, according to the structural engineer. Victor building team got it yesterday. And they said, fine, looks good. They have ordered already the logistics things they need to strengthen the beams. Basically, it's a big brace that goes along 15 beams.
Yeah, and the original timeline to rip everything out and go to scratch, go back to where to make the full correction was 9 weeks. David got with Raymond and our team. We were able to work. They're going to do some flange, put some strength on the beams and self-level the floor. It's going to reduce the schedule, we believe, by half. So today we verbally heard 4 weeks on the corrected measures. They haven't put that in an email to us yet. We had our progress meeting, but we believe it's the best path forward and saves half the time from ripping out all of the beams and going back. So we did take a few days to pull that together with Rolando and Raymond, but the savings was worth it. And so they got that direction last night. Chris, the owner of Victory, the head guy, reached out and acknowledged it. And today they have already started. They already ordered the fabrication stuff they needed and already have their subs in line to come in. So it makes sense, and it will. Rolando, who is the structural engineer with Janak's team, is the one that did the creative correction and addressed all the things that we believe need to be addressed. So we're pretty confident this corrective measure will save time and fix what we want them to fix to give you what you paid for.
Okay, they've been the whole time they've been working on the second floor exterior walls. If you've seen the building, they're almost done. It's a pretty big building. And they also started working on the elevator shaft. So they've been working the whole time. I didn't really sew anything up. And pretty soon, if not next week, the week after, the steel beams for the roof will be going up. So you'll probably see that after this on top. You'll see it easily. And then they'll be able to seal the building and really get after it, hopefully. Move on to the gas system. That's by far the most expensive hurricane recovery project. It's going well. We're still working under the work directive, no issues, paperwork is fine, no safety issues, nothing like that. Like I said, it's going well. There's 15 sub-phases total. 3 of them are totally done and the city signed for. And James is, city's responsible for them. And there's 2 more that are almost done, that'll be done by the middle of next month. So hopefully by next council meeting, 5 of the 15 sub-phases will be city-owned. And technically, confirm this again today, they're on schedule to finish the gas project replacement by the end of this year. That's good. Moving on to Public Works, this lab was supposed to get poured last Wednesday. They weren't quite ready. They had some paperwork requirements. They still owe Nicole. And they're out there working. That's all working on the weekends. They're getting after it. So instead of being poured today, it's being poured next Tuesday. Big slide. Let's see. The return Ramirez today, there's no issues. So as long as it's on meeting, so the Public Works building is going fine. But we just started. So, any questions? That concludes my brief.
Okay, any
Thank you.
questions? No?
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys very much. Right, item I, discussion and possible action regarding adjustment of short-term rental registration fees effective with 2026 renewals.
So this discussion started at our council goals workshop, and we discussed it last week with our proposed budget. That we have dialed into the proposed budget and increasing those STR fees. After some discussion, we wanted to bring you back what a few different things would look like. There is a survey on page 33 of that packet, page 213 of your entire packet, of some different cities within the state and their registration fee structure. Right now, we are doing 175 annual fees flat. And I have built an Excel spreadsheet that just, we can change any fee to anything. It could tell you what your revenue outlook might look like. What we dialed in the proposed budget was $1,270,000 in registration fees. The first rate structure I did, I just threw out a stair-step approach to 1 bedroom to 200 because I was, from our proposed budget talk, that's the minimum rate that I had in my notes that we wanted to look at is 200. And stair stepping up for each bedroom on up to a 10-bedroom, I took that up to $1,250 versus $1,100. We have 1 14-bedroom registered, and then hotels have, many bedrooms. So I had them at a flat rate of $1,500 apiece. We can adjust these to however you want. We can push this down to later, but know that November is when people start registering for 2026. So if we wanted to do something, we need to get it in the fee schedule. This isn't in the ordinance.
It's just in the fee schedule.
It's just in the fee schedule, so it can be done with the resolution. But we wanted to start looking at it, see what. As I said, any scenario.
What was the bump? 250 between 9 and 10 bedrooms versus everything. It was a stair step at 100, and then between 9 and 10 it goes up 250.
I just did it at 250 just because it seemed like when you hit 10 bedrooms, that's just a lot. So instead of going up to 1,100, I just jumped it up.
There's only 6.
Yeah, there's only 6 of them. There aren't many of them.
And that was and I know that was probably in the spreadsheet, which not all of us got, very quickly. But I think that was one of the things that I wanted to see was, and I mean, this is great, but what's the drill down, right? So how many 1 bedrooms do we have? How many 2 bedrooms do we have? How many 3 bedrooms do we have? How many 10 bedroom houses do we have? Do we have 6? Do we have 10? And as far as what, 14, is that one 14-bedroom
One
house?
14-bedroom. It used to be a bed and breakfast a long time ago. It's right in the corner of 11th and
Sure,
Access
right.
Road 1A. So, we only have 2 registered at 0 bedrooms. I think that most efficiencies just register themselves as 1 bedroom.
Okay.
And I flipped those over to 1 in this
Right.
area.
Okay.
So 2 at 0 bedrooms, 598 1 bedrooms.
Okay.
766 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
862 3 bedrooms. 653 4 bedrooms. 223 5 bedrooms. 60 6 bedrooms. 19 7 bedrooms. 4 8 bedrooms. 3 9 bedrooms. 6 10 bedrooms. 1 14.
And then every hotel is registered.
We have 24 hotels is what I have.
And currently they are paying what?
175.
Okay.
Everybody is paying 175.
24 hotels.
24 hotels is what I have. I think that the majority of the houses that we're building now are 5 bedrooms plus. Those are, under construction.
So I'm 100% in favor of moving up on the fees, right? I think that going up to 1,000 or 1,500 is a little much at this stage in the game. Not that they don't put additional strain on the city and, and if you have a 10-bedroom home, you could certainly afford, I'm sure, $1,000 fee. But I would almost, and I don't have the calculator to do the math, but I would almost rather us focus on, increasing the 250 to, maybe 1 and 2 bedrooms like it is, and then saying 3, 4, and 5 bedrooms or 5 to 600, and then capping, maybe everything over 8 or 9, everything over 8 bedrooms, 750 or something like that. We're not going to lose that much money, and maybe even on hotels, you go to $2,000 or something if you're trying to make up that difference. But I don't like the structure on the left. That's 1 bedroom, 200 all the way to 12, 15. I know it's simple and we ask for that, but when you look at what we've been doing and what everyone else is doing, thank you for the additional information for all these other communities. It's going to be a big jump.
If you did 1 and 2 bedroom at $200 a piece, bedrooms 3 through 7 at 500, bedrooms 8, 9, 8 on up, 8 even hotels at 750, it gets you 1.21 million.
I'm fine with going up. I mean, this is just me, right? I'm just speaking out loud, so y'all please chime in. But I mean, I'm fine with going up to a $500 fee at 3 bedrooms, but I just don't want to see us go to 1,250 or 1,000 on 6 properties or 1 property or something like that. Right? The hotel's great. Go all the way up. They shouldn't be paying more than 175.
What if we went 250 on the 1 and 300 on the 2s and 400 on the 3s and then 5 and the 6 and the 750 on the bigger? Or you're wanting to stay at 5 on the 750?
I'm just fine. I'm just trying to, for simplicity reasons, maybe make it a little simpler.
Yeah.
Just do them all.
And you don't have to do a stair-step approach.
Yeah.
You can.
And it makes more sense because you've got efficiencies that don't have any bedrooms and 1 bedroom, they shouldn't be paying as much as a 5 or 8 bedroom in my opinion.
Fredericksburg is your largest. We kind of had a hard time getting through their website, but Nicole, we got it. She got it corrected. 5 bedroom for them is 1,000. 5 bedroom.
I mean, the majority of, if you look at these numbers, and thank you, Nicole, for providing them, the majority are 1 to 4 bedrooms, right? I mean, I'm
6
glad to
bedroom
know
plus
that.
is less than 100.
Right. So,
Yeah, 6 bedroom plus, you're looking at 93 properties, 24 hotels. So when you put the hotels with it, you're at 117.
What if the calculation were 1 to 2 bedrooms, 250, 3 to 5 bedrooms, 500, and 6 plus 750? What would that get you? And then leave the hotels at 1,500, whatever.
You want hotels at 1,500?
Yeah, I think I'm not.
1,316,250.
1,316,250.
250.
Okay. 1,316,000.
And that was hotels at 15.
Yeah, so
Hotels at 1,500. That is 1 and 2 bedrooms at 250. Bedrooms 3 through 5 at 500. Bedrooms 6 to 14 at 750. Hotels at 1,500. Is 1,316,250.
three separate sections based on the number of, I'm just doing that based on the number of kind of where the breaks are, right?
If a 3-bedroom were at 500 and a 6-bedroom were at 500, the 3-bedroom house is paying a lion's share, for their bedrooms and their people sleeping, and based on what they can probably charge compared to a 6-bedroom that can add another 6 people. And a 6-bedroom probably rents a little higher than a 3-bedroom. So percentage wise, the 3-bedroom is paying a higher percentage in registration fees than a 6-bedroom. That's. the
6 should
way-
be more, for sure.
Right, but if you stair step it, a 10 could be 11, because you still got to figure out, because somebody's going to build an 11 and a 12 and they probably won't build a 13-bedroom room, but they're going to skip over it like the elevator, go to 14 hotel.
Can we
Well,
put
you
an
could just do
asterisk
10
and
on
say, over 10 bedrooms is special pricing?
And it could be 10 plus, it's just,
With
we
the
only have
idea-
one that's over 10.
Yeah, the idea that the more people on a piece of land demand more services, and let them decide. I don't think somebody's gonna change from a 7-bedroom already drawn up to a 6-bedroom because annually they gotta pay $100. And we're trying to offset and maintain the services. I even thought about, the value of a $1 million home that 2 people live in. It takes so many services. Another $1 million home, but it's via SDR and it's 6-bedroom, can sleep 14 people. Now you got 14 people versus 2 requiring services and roads. That was the idea. And we asked them just to take numbers.
I think by any proposed increase of this shape or size that we're doing, we're gonna get a substantially larger amount of money to cover services provided for sure. And that's the whole point, right? Because yes, all these things put a strain on, our services. So I'm 100% okay with increasing it. I was just trying to think of it not just being a big jump, but maybe it deserves to be. That's why we're having discussion. So.
For the 6-bedroom plus, that is a big jump. $575.
Just like the example of in other cities, at 5 bedrooms, and it's $1,000 and that's it. Well, I'm twice your size and I pay the same $500 or $1,000 to register, and I now have 10 bedrooms. It raises the money, but it doesn't account for twice as many people in the community moving services. And I think a 10-bedroom probably rents a little bit more than a 5-bedroom over a year for the registration fee to be $500 or $600, whatever we have suggested.
So what would your suggestion be? Both of these scenarios are 10 bedrooms are 1,250 or 1,000. My suggestion was 6 and not be 750, but everyone, I mean, we can keep discussing. So Dale, if you
I like 10 being 11 and just fill in 12, just because when somebody builds a 12-bedroom house and go to register them, we're like, well, we don't have a fee for that. So it has to either be a something plus.
Well,
but
10
who-
plus is what I was
Well, who do you
assuming
want
there
to,
just because they're
who
not
do you want to
registered.
sit, put the hickey on? The 10 bedrooms and the rest are 1,250 or 1,100, or just run it out, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Somebody will build a 15.
What if you use something like Wendy's and after 8, it's just $100 more per bedroom? Past that third step, it's just an extra $100 for every bedroom you add. So instead of 15, so.
every 2 people additional
I
cost another
just
$100
think-
bucks. Yeah,
I-
sure.
I agree with what you're saying. 100%. And then, just whatever separate for the hotels.
After 8, you said?
I think that was Wendy's birthday.
I mean, if you look at the number that we have on the books, right? I mean, the natural breaks are between 1 and,
Right.
2 and 3, there's kind of a break, right? And then between 5 and 6, there's a substantial break. And then, I mean, there's not much of a break between 9 and 10 and however many other bedrooms. But if I understand the theory of saying, well, if it's 8 plus, it's, 750 plus 100 per bedroom or whatever. I think that's fine. I mean, that way, if someone does build a 14 bedroom, then they're
You got an
paying.
answer.
Yeah.
Or staff has a fee schedule.
So I was going to 8-bedroom house on my way to
Huh?
Probably less than one night's rental.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so that day you're gonna make it up, so.
Yeah.
And right now, we only have 14 that have 8 bedrooms. But I have 39. There's only 39. That's what I mean, 8 and more, there's only 14. Yeah.
So 1 to 2 bedrooms, 250, Darla. 3 to 5 bedrooms, 500. 6 to 8 bedrooms, 750. And then 9 and up is an additional $100 per bedroom over the $750 limit.
If you get that written in a fee schedule and bring it back to the resolution form to approve next month.
Hotels.
And hotels at 1,500. Y'all think that's a fair price?
What are hotels out right now?
Dale wants it to be $10,000.
No, I'm not trying to accomplish that. I'm trying to be fair to, I buy a house and it's 1 bedroom, you're gonna pay $200. I choose to buy a 2-bedroom, I mean, it's a fee schedule built into it. And I do agree, if you wanna pick a bedroom, pick a number, and anything over that, it's $100. That's almost the same as saying every bedroom
Is $100.
basically.
It's all generating almost all the different configurations.
Are
right
doing
on
it,
top
I'm
of
just
one
trying
another.
to.
Yeah, true.
1.26, 1.33,
I have a 4-bedroom house,
1.31.
but I gotta pay the same amount as the 5-bedroom house. And they're bringing more people and they got more stuff.
But maybe you rent out more.
Do that all day.
I know.
Compared to what we're paying now.
Yeah.
So hotels pay what?
175. Now,
175.
1,500 was in the proposal.
I was just trying to generate a little more income than what the first rate structure proposal was, which was our original $100 per bedroom, right? And that's, which is kind of what you're suggesting, but that was still only producing $1.2 million. The budget budgeted built in $1.27 million. So that's where I was like, okay, well, we need to adjust those up in a way that maybe made sense based on the
And
breaks.
now let me state, this is the number of, this spreadsheet was downloaded straight from our STR rental software. That is how many are registered today. Properties will flip during the year. And when they flip, the new person has to register again. So that's where you get a little more than what.
So you're saying the home sales are looking good? It's not hard. We can all feel confident. It's
I
going
did
up.
not say that, but I'm
We
assuming that
appreciate
more than
that.
one
We
will sell
appreciate
during
the
the year.
encouragement. To help all those people that need this stuff.
Okay, so are y'all good with her bringing that back? Or do you want to stick with maybe that first rate structure, which is more simplified, $100 per room? I mean, what are y'all's thoughts so we can give her direction?
I like what we talked about here with what you suggested with the.
So the break
550, 750, and then over $800
per bed.
per bed, and then 1,500.
Yes, Dale?
Yes.
Just trying to get some direction for Darla. So we can get there before November. Okay, Darla, you got it?
I got it. I'll be bringing that back next month.
Awesome. All right, thank you very much. All right, Jay, discussion and possible action on proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget.
So after our proposed budget workshop, the only changes that were physically made to the budget were to change the outside agencies funding. As suggested, you'll see that in the memo. Arts Center, the original request was 100,000, taking them to 75. PAC 100, taking them to 75. Pop 305, taking them to 150. School district at the 10,000, that level stayed. Trinity Day School was not in the proposed budget because the original application was missed with the late request. They requested 40. We put them in at 10 that was suggested in the building. There was also discussion to see what the full-time EMS administrative position would do to the budget. I did not actually put it in, but it would be 60,200. So put that.
For a full year?
For a full year.
Right, which, okay. Which we wouldn't start in October because the building's not even going to be done.
The building's not going to be done yet.
But I understand,
And
for
then it's gotta
simplicity,
be-
you've got to.
Right, for simplicity,
Right.
I mean, we could put it in starting
Right.
April 1, but again, if it's a position that y'all think is needed in the budget. So the only pages in this packet for budget is showing your hotel rental special. The rest would be in your proposed binder with no changes.
Okay, considering that the budget as presented was $1,270,000, particularly for that short-term rental fee income, and we know that that's probably going to be more based on the conversation we just had. I mean, we can't approve a final budget, but we can at least tell you that we're good with these proposed changes.
Right, your vote to approve the budget is not going to be to your
Right, so
September
later,
11th
okay.
meeting, but this is the point where you can change anything, add
Yeah.
anything, take anything out if you want to look at it differently. I would probably take the 1.27 million estimate in revenue and up that to 1,325 by what we just discussed. Okay, for those changes, assuming just a few do sell and turn over. Some not.
And then I know we have an agenda item next regarding
The tax rate.
The tax
we wanted
rate,
to Take a vote on that, yeah.
right.
And then if you want to give any direction on that EMS position, if y'all feel that it's a needed position, staff did not validate.
What's the given that? I don't think that's gonna be a position.
I don't know that we need to dial it in for $60,000, given the fact that we know that the position's not even gonna be filled. If it needed or not, it wouldn't be filled until probably February
Yeah.
or March. So I'm certainly not in favor of dialing it in for $60,000 for a full year. So if we wanna, I mean, you know, at the point in which we decide that the building's done and that position's necessary, we could do a budget amendment, which may be the best position to take on that, considering we don't even know when
Yeah.
that would be. Does that sound okay with you guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in favor of
Yeah.
the position,
Sure.
but if we don't even know when will that be, I don't think we should put a full year's salary in there for that.
That would
Correct.
start in January, right? We know it's not gonna be that much.
But, okay, so you didn't put it in there, so that's fine. Is council, okay with the hot tax distribution? Great.
Yes, yes.
Okay, any changes there? All right, so the only other discussion, unless there's something new that y'all wanted to add or change, is gonna be, in item L, which we'll go into discuss.
And once you make a decision on that, I will be dialing that in.
Into the budget.
To the budget process.
Okay, perfect, all right. Anything else that y'all thought of or dreamed up or wish to do to the budget? Okay. All right, thank you, Darlene.
And put in one binder up, so.
Okay, item K, discuss and take action to set tax rate and date for public hearing.
So the proposed budget is set with the no new revenue rate of 0.201612, which would be a no tax increase. So you're not, don't have to have the hearing, but you will have to have the vote on the tax rate. And you will have to have a public hearing on the budget because that is still required by state statute. And there will be a public hearing that night for the RDC budget also. Did we set that at 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yes, that'll be September 11th at 4. On your budget calendar, we had this budget meeting, vote on your tax rate. Public hearing on your budget would be September 11th at 5. But we do need to do a advertisement, and that has to be placed in the paper. So we will need a motion for the proposed tax rate to be set at the 0.201612 per hundred.
All right, is there a motion?
Set the motion. Proposed budget for the tax rate of 2.201612 per hundred, and also set a hearing date for September 11th, 5 p.m.
Yes, sir.
What was the tax rate you said?
0.201612.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion?
September 11th.
It'll be quick. Okay, so y'all good on that date? All right, Fran, please call the roll.
Yes.
Councilor Schneider.
Yes.
Councilor Christensen.
Yes.
Councilor Krueger.
Yes.
Councilor Chambers.
Yes.
Jefferson Crawford.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. All right, so item L is a resolution approving and amending the current city manager employment agreement and authorizing the mayor to sign said agreement. So the city council will go into closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074 regarding personnel matters to discuss these items, and we'll be back soon. If y'all want to take a quick break while people are leaving, please go first.